Buying your first car is very exciting, but it can also be terrifying. I mean, buying this car was the biggest financial transaction that I've made since buying the Lego City Police Station in about 2016, which is why it's very important that you get it right. And it's also why I'm here today reviewing what I consider to be the best first car that money can buy. The Mk4 Golf. Alright, let's start off with the looks of the car. In my opinion, this is a very good looking car, especially a very good looking first car. I have seen a few people say they think it looks a little bit boxy, it looks a bit old in that way, but I actually really like it. I think that it does actually look a little bit nicer than like the Mark 5s and the onwards, which are basically very similar, but just slightly more blown up. But I like it, I'm a big fan. I especially like little bits like these little details of the groove along the bonnet. I really like the lights actually. It's odd, but I think they look very good together paired with the front of the car. So I do like that, I'm a big fan. And I think all round, pretty good looking car. I mean, I especially think it looks a good bit better than other cars of the same generation, such as perhaps the Ford Ka or the Nissan Micra, which are in fairness, smaller, slightly lesser cars. And if you come around to the back as well, we have nice little features such as these nice lights. We have a nice spoiler on the back, which I'm a big fan of. I don't know if it comes as standard on the car. And overall, I'm not as much of a big fan of the back of the car, but I do still like it in general, and I think matched with the whole thing looks very good. Nancy? However, of course, it is not all about looks. Thank goodness, it is also about what is on the inside. So next, we shall move on to practicality. And now on to practicality. Now this car is the perfect size for effectively all different types of journeys. It's not too big that you're going to find it cumbersome for your daily driving, and you can put very small things in here, such as small balls, David Beckham Lego minifigures, and individual shoes, if you want to just bring some small things along with you, which is perfect. But also you can fit in pretty much all that you need. Me and my entire family of 4 managed to travel for a little while, good 3-hour journey with all of our luggage in here. So there's clearly enough room for all that you might need. Now, to fully demonstrate to you the capacity of this car for large loads, I'm going to put in here this sleeping bag filled with pillows and beanbags and probably sweat into the car to show you that, I mean, look at that. That just swallows it up. That's perfect. But to fully demonstrate it to you, I feel like I have to commit to the cause. And so I shall also get into the boot and be nice and comfortable in here. Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm actually, this is all right, you know. I could quite comfortably get in here and stay. What are we doing?
Bye.
What? Well, I mean, to be fair, that's all right. I reckon I could sleep here. I mean, if I was a dog, I'd be pretty happy. About a 300 litre tank in here. And yeah, that's a lot of space for a lot of water. Look at those losers out there. And now on to the middle seating of the car. Now, I won't lie, this is where it goes slightly downhill. As you'll be able to see, there is no storage anywhere in this car. There's no on the back of it, not this. You get a little cigarette tray here, but I mean, that's not gonna hold much at all. So that is not ideal. There is stuff in the front, as we'll get to in a minute, but that does, it's just a slight drawback of the car.
Where's the cup holders?
Where's the cup? There is not one, unless your drink is that thin, you'd struggle. So effectively you need an extra friend to hold it, which isn't ideal, but it is a solution. Now, one thing that is good in here is there is a lot of space. I have a 6'3.5" Viking friend who sat in here the other day, and he said that it was quite comfortable, which is a bonus, of course. So you can have plenty of room. It's fine for long journeys. It's comfortable and it is spacious, which is good. However, another thing, which is a slight potential drawback, is not ideal, is this here only a lap seatbelt, which isn't great. I mean, unless there's someone you have to take for a lift who you hate, which is then good. But this,
well, at least if they die, you know, there's enough room in the boot to keep them in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. See, this car solves all the problems that it has. But it's not ideal having no storage, but you can buy them if you really need. And for a daily driver, this isn't an issue because, you know, I mean, unless you drive from the back, it doesn't really affect you. Now onto the front interior of the Golf. Golfs were always known for like having a good high quality interior for a lower price point than maybe a Mercedes or something like that. And so that is a big plus point of the car. However, at this point, the car is 18 years old and it is a little bit outdated. You do have all the general things you need, like the radio, the heating, all that stuff, but you are lacking in anything like a Bluetooth connection or anything of that sound to play music. So you do have to rely on other technology from Halfords, not sponsored unfortunately, to basically do that. But it works and it does it fine. You have the cigarette lighter and that means you can charge your phone, you can connect your phone, you can do all the things that you might need that way. The main drawback for this interior of the front of the car is that it doesn't have cup holders. You cannot imagine how disappointed I was when I found out that the only cup holders in this car were literally those two grooves there, which literally only work if your passenger has no legs and you are like a smoother driver as Hamilton once. Because like that is going to hold nothing, you know, your drink is going to fall over instantly. However, my grandpa has a car similar to this, an estate Golf, which I do know of, and I noticed that he has a cup holder here. And so I then went and bought on the aftermarket Chinese market some cup holders which go in this place. Originally there was just a panel here, as you can see here. However, I took off that panel and I replaced it with the cup holders. So now I do have the space for cup holders, but I'm guessing they just didn't include them.
So you got your illegal cup holders?
Yeah, effectively, yeah. I was just a little disappointed that it wasn't included as standard. Although, not flex, but I do have a tape deck. If anybody here happens to live in, you know, like the early 2000s or beyond, you may have actually...
You got a tree as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that kills fish, by the way. I only found that out after I bought it. It murders fish if you put it in water, so don't drive your car in the sea, I guess. And of course, we must mention the most important thing.
The nice knob.
The round gear knob. I mean, if you've seen my previous video, you know that I am a sucker for a round gear stick. Now, this one is slightly worn on top, but that's okay because clearly people have been loving the round gear stick, and I am one of those, because just look at that. Is that not beautiful? It absolutely is. Now, the final thing before we go for a drive is reliability. Now, as first-time drivers, we obviously don't have a lot of money, which means we cannot afford anything from the exhaust manifold to the wipers falling off, and Golf's a perfect car for this. As we know, German cars are known for their dogged reliability over the years, and VW Golfs especially are very good at this. They can drive for years. Obviously, this is already 18 years old without too many issues, which is perfect for not having to spend a lot of money on your car. I've had no issues in the 3 months, which of course is quite a short time that I've owned it, and so far, I'm very happy. Welcher ist warum du sollst ein deutscher Esel geschafft?
What does that mean?
Which is why you should buy a German car. And now it's time to take this beauty of a car for a drive. Although, yeah, somewhere between the outside of the car and the inside of the car, half of my hair did fall off. I mean, it does do that sometimes. It does do that. See? And now, of course, I shall start off by talking about the specifications of this car. Now, as you probably already know, it has a inline 4-cylinder engine, which is relatively standard, 16 valve, but it's a good engine, especially when manufactured by the Germans, the Deutsche Leute. And now that engine puts out a pretty good 105 brake horsepower with a 1.6 litre engine, which isn't small. And in fact, it does put out enough power to get you up those hills a bit quicker and a bit more reliably. You know, you don't have to chuck out the children as you go up hills, as you may find you have to do on the smaller 1.2, 1.4 litre models, which is one of the reasons I actually decided to buy this one, is because I thought I want to have it to be able to do decent journeys and stuff and not have to worry about just not having the power to cruise along on the motorway happily at 60, 70, you know. So now, of course, we must mention the 0 to 60 time, which I actually recently found out beat the Zafira, the Vauxhall Zafira, my beloved car. Second only to this. Maybe not, maybe it's first, I don't know. Anyway, favourite or not, the 0 to 60 time of this car is 10.8 seconds. Now, I know that is not the fastest thing you've ever heard, but that is pretty good for a first car, you know. And another way that this car beats the Zafira is in its top speed. It doesn't have as big an engine as the Zafira, but it is lighter and smaller. And so the top speed, drumroll please, is 119 miles an hour. What a speed put there by the 109 pound-feet of torque, which is simply beguiling. And now onto the handling of the car. Now, as you know, this is a low-down car. It's not tall or anything, and it is rather grippy. I have been in a few sticky situations, thankfully sticky situations, where I've almost possibly gone around a corner a little faster than I intended, and I didn't know how sharp it was. And this car was like, that, my friend, is no problem, and it just sticks to the road. Now, of course, I should point out that I have only driven 2 cars properly in my driving career at 18 years old. However, I must say that I do feel like for a first car, this one is quite special. It has a bit of personality, and the way it drives it's fun. It's like, I know Golfs aren't known as being the funnest of hatchbacks and cars, but I just feel like this one, it has enough power for you to be able to enjoy it and not, you know, like I said, drag up the hills, bump. And it just gives you enough fun, yet it's also safe enough. And I think that's the perfect middle ground for a first car, you know? Like, it's not going to be something really hot and fiery, like a Fiesta ST or something, which, in fairness, is probably very fun and also a good first car. But this one also just lets you do more with it, you know? There's more stuff you can pack in the back, and this is going away from the driving here, I do know. But it just lets you, it's safe to drive, and I feel like I'm cool and comfortable like a cucumber while I'm in here. And so that pretty much wraps up the video and the review of this car, which is, in my opinion, an incredible car. And I know I'm biased, but I do recommend that if you're able to get your hands on one as your first car, I honestly think it's a wonderful choice. And you could go for a Mark V or whatever if you want to go for the little bit more modern. But honestly, such a good car. So glad I bought it for a relatively cheap price, which was 2.1 or 2 grand. I know I should remember that, but I don't. But it's about 2.2 grand, which is pretty fine price for this car. Bearing in mind it's done 76,000 miles, which isn't very many. But the reason that it was quite cheap is that it had sat for 7 years. So I know that that's like a bit like a has the engine all deteriorated, but no, it hasn't. It's absolutely fine so far. Although I did just notice that one of my headlights is out, and I do need to get another one, which isn't ideal, but that does not reflect on the car, and it is thoroughly great. I do recommend it, and I do absolutely love it. So yeah, that also sums up the video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed and learned something about this fine steed of an automobile, and I do, like I said, recommend it if you get one, and perhaps we should do some more car reviews in the future. So yes, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. I shall see you around. Bye bye.